Well, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, the latest look at Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is finally here, and fans have been avidly scouring every frame of the new trailer in search of clues and hints regarding what is to come. While many of these theories look towards the future of the multiverse, one prominent fan theory has actually reached into the past, and may shed some light on a theory trend that has long since died out, yet might hold significance in the coming months in the Multiverse of Madness. During the build-up to WandaVision and leading all the way into No Way Home, the vast reaches of the internet released an overwhelming myriad of different theories revolving around Mephisto, how he could be introduced into the MCU, and what role he'd play in the MCU going forward. It seemed for a while that there was no corner of the MCU related internet where you could turn to not see any reference or theory regarding the character of Mephisto from the comics. And while that time has largely passed and these theories have become memes for the most part steadily dying off, we are here today to bring you a brand new theory regarding the Devil of Marvel Comics, now that the dust had settled on many of his theories. So bear with us today, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, as we discuss how Mephisto may not even exist in the MCU at all, as well as why it makes the most in-universe and real-life financial sense for Disney and Marvel to not only not include him, but potentially even replace him with another character altogether, being finally diving into what this character may ultimately become in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This theory starts under the pretense that there is no Mephisto in the MCU, at least not as we know him, and instead his role will be filled by a stand-in who will largely take on the roles and storylines that Mephisto played in the comic books, and we believe that this stand-in will be none other than Strange Supreme, the variant of Doctor Strange who doomed the entirety of his universe with his arrogance in the What If series, and the character that we briefly glimpsed in the trailer for Multiverse of Madness. In the comic books, perhaps one of Mephisto's most iconic storylines is in One More Day arc, which heavily impacted the events of No Way Home as they took inspiration from that comic. In No Way Home, however, instead of turning to Doctor Strange, Peter Parker made a deal with Mephisto, which ultimately resulted in the reparations of Spider-Man's secret identity, as well as cost MJ her memories of him. While in No Way Home, this iteration of Doctor Strange is not Strange Supreme, it still makes sense to have a variant of Doctor Strange fill the role of Marvel's Devil, and there are several visual cues to indicate that this might be Marvel's current course of action, and that Strange Supreme will actually be the MCU Mephisto. We see throughout the What If series that Strange Supreme has taken on several features that look eerily demonic, especially when we bear witness to his hunt for the acquisition of power necessary to save Christine. His greed and arrogance has led him to drastically deforming his body in ways that look almost satanic in certain scenes. But while this may ultimately be a coincidence, why would it make the most real-world financial sense for Disney Studios and Marvel to go this route instead of using the actual Mephisto? The answer is compelling in itself. Why would Marvel and Disney elect to take a figure who has proven to be a highly profitable figure in the past and omit him from the current landscape of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the single largest cinematic franchise in history? The answers, my friend, is actually rather simple. It's China. The Chinese film market is notoriously particular about what it is and not allowed to release to the public, and one of the strongest points of contention is imagery surrounding demonic and satanic entities, as these symbols, characters, and figures are among the most heavily regulated in the Chinese film market. This would mean that the introduction of Mephisto, being the literal incarnation of the devil in Marvel Comics, would heavily be scrutinized and be subject to relentless controversy as well as discussion in the Chinese market, going so far as to potentially even getting certain MCU films and projects banned in China if it were ever to go that far, with China being a massive market. If Mephisto is to become an integral player in the near future, then the MCU would have to restrict any project he is present in from the Chinese market, which routinely proves to be one of their most lucrative sources of income, as the Chinese market absolutely love the Marvel films. Needless to say, China is one of Marvel's largest cash cows, and taking this unique risk would run the chance of jeopardizing their standing and access to the Chinese market. If future MCU properties run the risk of being banned in China for including Mephisto, then it makes the most logical and financial sense that Disney and Marvel may seek to find a stand-in for the devil in a way that makes both in-universe sense and ensures financial security overseas, and Strange Supreme seems to fit this bill extremely well. After all, this issue goes beyond just having one property banned in China, as the interconnectivity of the MCU means that one project directly leads into another. Missing just one could mean that those who are in the dark could be missing vital plot details in order order to understand the next entry in the MCU, which would hurt Chinese reception of the MCU movies even further and risk alienating that lucrative market even more. Using Strange Supreme as a stand-in for Mephisto and having him take on many of the roles that the Marvel Devil does in the comics lore would allow them to include some of the most intriguing storylines from the comics involving Mephisto and allowing it to take place within the MCU landscape while also bypassing Chinese film market regulation. If they are able to circumnavigate this issue, then they could include some of the most beloved Mephisto-centric storylines while not ruining any pre-existing Marvel character, as we already have our iteration of Doctor Strange to follow, all while keeping a firm hold on the market and its customers, not to mention their money. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of this theory? Do you think it makes sense for Strange Supreme to be the MCU's iteration of Mephisto? And would you like to see the actual character of Mephisto make his debut in the MCU, no matter how unlikely? If you'd like to see him appear, how do you think Marvel can get around the constraints of the Chinese film market? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and I hope you have a great day.